1015 The Ride and WDKM. Welcome into postseason coverage of Creekwood as we get you set for this opening round matchup between the Red Hawks and Red Banks. I've got Coach Charles Taylor with me here in studio to get us set. And Coach, I guess the first question to ask you is, when you went into this season, did you look at this roster and say, this is a Murfreesboro type team?
I'll go back and say, I think when these guys were in middle school, we all saw that there was the potential to be very, very good. As far as this summer, we had a really, really difficult schedule. And so it was hard to maybe kind of see that. And then when we get into the fall and start, we played a really good bunch of teams. And I don't know that we saw that early. I mean, we felt like we had some talent and if some things clicked right, but I'll say as late as Christmas, I had doubts of what we could do in the postseason because we were still trying to kind of figure out some things. And I think the biggest thing is we finally figured out defensively what we wanted to do because we had changed defensively about 3 times in the first half of the season.
With a group as senior laden as you had, I'm surprised that there was much adjustment to be made. I think for those of us that are watching, we just assume you've got this many seniors coming back. You just roll with whatever's worked. You're saying there was tinkering right up until the district schedule, really.
Really and truly it was because offensively, I think we kind of knew what we were, and we always look at, adjustments to sets and different things we run. But defensively, we were trying to figure out, are we a pressing team? Are we not a pressing team? Can we run? We were trying to run a matchup zone at the beginning of the year. We actually defeated a very good Page team very first week of the season, running this switching hybrid stuff, and then we're about 4 games in, and I was like, we got to scrap this. Like, this is terrible, and then we started playing some man, and we started playing some 2-3, and but like I said, a lot of that struggle, I look back now and go, we played a very good Page team, we played a very good Centennial team, we lost on the road at a really good Todd County team, we lost on the road at a really good Clarksville team, and I look at all that and go, and then I throw in Upperman 1 state tournament teams that we played back-to-back and actually lost at their place by 4 or 5. Some of our struggles might have been the fact that everybody we were playing were really good, and so some of those adjustments that we were making was as a result of what we were seeing on the floor because, we faced pressing teams. We faced Todd County that's got a 6'7" kid inside. We faced Upperman who's got a dynamic freshman guard. And so we kept seeing all these different scenarios, and I think that's what kind of led to us trying to figure some stuff out and finally defensively found what we were kind of good at.
It's interesting that you talk about all those teams you played in November and December. You and I talked just briefly before the season, and one of the things that I hit on was this wide open schedule that you were playing. I know some of that comes down to the district schedule and how many games there are and all these things. But when you go back now and look at that, how much did that heavy schedule that you play into this team as we're playing now in the middle of March?
I think it's played a lot because we lost. We lost at Christmas at the last second to Martin Westview where we had a lead and let it fall apart. We went to Todd County. A kid hit a last-second shot, and we were up early, got behind, then fought back, and all those different experiences that we had, I think, helped mold us, and we learned some lessons. I mean, I'll even go so much as say on the road at Fairview, when we lose at their place, we realized we had to change some things defensively, and I think all that stuff has helped us get prepared for postseason. I mean, when we went to Jackson to the regionals, they were all great teams, but it wasn't anything that we hadn't seen.
Right.
And so there was nothing. We're walking in going, oh man, this team's so good defensively, or they got this big guy or this or that. We were like, well, this is kind of like this team, or this kind of like this team. I think this will work. What we did, back in December, and I think having the hard schedule really prepared us for this.
I want to take a second too and give some credit to your assistant coaches. I know you guys have worked together for a while. What role have they had as you've gone through this postseason run, and how much have they helped out as you've laid the foundation for what each night's game plan is going to be?
Yeah, I think most people don't realize, Coach Baker's our bookkeeper at school. He's also the head volleyball coach. And Coach Decker does our virtual school, so he does all of our kids that are online. And so they have a little more free time sometimes to get on and look at film. Whereas, I teach construction and we're out in the shop or we're doing whatever project or I'm actually lecturing and teaching, and so I don't get a chance to do that. And they both love film and stats and dissecting things. So what a normal week for us is, we'll get 5 or 6 films in from an opponent, and they both will have the films broken down before I've even got to watch. After we beat Portland Monday night, by the next morning, Coach Baker had already watched Red Bank. That was by 9 o'clock. And so what they do, watch an hour and a half game. They'll both clip up film and dissect film to where it's a team's favorite sets, their favorite out of bounds, what they do defensively. And so I get to concentrate on that, and I don't have to sit there and pour through hours of film. And they're both great at it. I have learned over the past 10 or 12 years, I don't know everything, and I welcome them to bring any ideas to the table. And they, I'll say, hey, we need a new backdoor set, and we'll all be looking, and then I'll find one, or they'll find a couple, and all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, I think I like that one. Let's put that one in. I mean, we have one play we call Decker and one that we call Baker, and it's 2 plays that they found. And so I think people don't realize how much they do and how easy it's made my job to concentrate on the things I need to concentrate on.
I didn't know until the first game in Jackson, and I got to sit down and talk with them for a few minutes, just what they knew about the team, because they get to see things that I don't either. And so I know it helped the broad
lot of times they don't all survive me until their senior year, And so, case of Alex Bradshaw, I mean, we just assumed Alex wasn't playing. I mean, he, hurt his knee. Well, he'd had knee problems all last year and, finally had surgery after football. And we didn't think he'd be back. And to see him get to come back and play, a kid that was, a starter a year ago was really special. That first night he played at Montgomery Central, and I know like Carter and Jameson have literally grown up at each other's house, and have played together for as long as I can remember. You got Grayson and Riken, two other guys that played with Jameson and Carter and Alex in middle school. Like all five of them were played on the same middle school team.
Yeah.
And Riken grew up literally quarter mile down from my house because my daughter Reagan played with his sister, and so I can remember Riken being out in the around the garage and shooting ball anytime I'd go down there to pick Reagan up, and then you've got Gregory Fort and Eli that were the two guys that come from Charlotte Middle originally. I just can't say enough. They've all played in the summers together. They've all played off and on AAU at different points in time. Sometimes they've been on different teams. Sometimes they've been on the same team. I know Grayson's dad took them when they were younger and had them all playing together. And so it's really as a coach fulfilling to watch a bunch of kids grow up and have some expectations on them when they're younger,
sure.
And to get to see them fulfill those expectations. Because there were a lot of people in my ear going, "Oh, Coach, you got to see these kids. You got to see these kids. They're really good." And to watch the emotion of Monday night and know that they did something and it's not something that happens very often. It's not something that's very easy to do, to get to Murfreesboro with boys basketball. And so it's really great to watch all of them get to do that.
I think back to when I was first coming back, the 2021 season. And the first game that I got to do, I filled in for somebody in the playoffs, and I was talking to you on the floor, and you pointed out Jamison Ford to me and said, This is the guy you want to watch. And, here we are 4 years later. I still like to watch him. It's never not entertaining to watch Jamison. But this group, they've played so much ball and so many big minutes for you. I think specifically, obviously I missed last Monday night's game, and I've lamented that off air, but I think specifically about that Chester County game. Those guys came out to play. Chester County came out to play. And your guys going in at the half, you were trailing maybe by one at the half? Or
it was close.
But you had trailed early. I think the biggest deficit was 7, and then you came out, and there was a different look to them in the second half. Does all this basketball that they've played together, is there anything that they haven't seen that you're worried about somebody in Murfreesboro throwing at them that they can't handle?
I don't think so. The biggest thing that I worry about handling is just the emotion of the moment. That was my biggest fear at Chester. I had went down the previous week and watched Chester and Southside and Lexington and Northside play, and I texted my assistant coaches. I said, my biggest fear is Chester's home crowd.
Yeah, they're wild.
I said I felt like we could compete as far as players go, but I was worried about that home advantage. And we've actually had this conversation with our guys. Is there's nothing you haven't seen. We worked against Red Bank's 1-3-1, and we haven't worked on a 1-3-1 in a month probably, but we got right into it and went right to where we're supposed to be. And they've seen a little bit of everything. They really have. And like I said, it's just can we go to Murfreesboro and be calm and enjoy the moment. And I think you saw a little bit of that at Chester, a little bit of excitement first half, a little bit trying to adjust to a team, and then you come out second half and you know, you're a little bit different now. We kind of figured out what we need to do, and we also knocked down some shots as well, which helped.
That'll help. You know, you talk about going to Murfreesboro and the excitement that comes with it, but it's also a different environment. We're used to playing in, especially someplace like Chester County, the bleachers are on the floor. Basically, there's not much sideline, not much inline, whatever. And the fans are in tight and they're loud. Even a team like yours that's going to travel well, we would assume on Thursday evening, fans are going to show up, students are going to show up. We know they're going to be there. We're not going to have a full glass house. We're not going to have fans. I'll be closer than any fan will be. So it's a different environment. You also have all that depth for shooters with the backboards being the way they are, on the stanchions the way they are. So how much adjustment, how much do you worry about making sure guys get out there and take shots and that sort of thing and get settled in? Because it is a very different environment.
It is. We've already had the discussion about what the day's going to be like once we get there, because it's, you park different, you're let in differently, you got to check in, you got to wander through all the hallways and all that stuff that comes with TSSAA and then actually walking out onto the court and up into the stand. We've talked about all that. Our thing we've discussed is the college line.
Ignoring it?
more than the depth perception.
Yeah.
When we went 9 years ago, we went to Belmont and had a practice. We tried to do a couple different things in terms of moving our goals at school out. And I think, honestly, I think we overemphasized it. I think once you get on and warm up, as a basketball player, you can adjust to any goal in any setting. I mean, I grew up playing in White Bluff on 8-foot goals down at the community center. You adjust how to shoot on an 8-foot goal real quick, And so for us, it's that college line. It's that, because when guys shoot, they don't look down at their feet and see where they're at. They know where they are behind that line. So we actually take the college line on the floor so that they could get used to, hey, step over that line and don't go across the white one, and that was more of what we've kind of been concerned about, because you watch the TSSAA tournaments and you'll see kids 2, 3, 4 foot behind the college line and not realize, they're almost NBA range at times.
Yeah.
And so that's been more of our, hey, we got to make a little adjustment here. Don't worry about stepping on that line. And everything else is just being upfront with the kids and know that, hey, we got to go do this. We got to check in here. We got to, all that kind of stuff. So they're not in awe of pulling up to the Murphy Center. Do you have a preference, early game or the late? You're playing at 4:00, first game of the session, but would you have preferred to have been later, or does it matter? I think we actually talked about this today. I think anything after 2:00 is great.
I agree.
Because you practice, at 3:00, so that's not a big deal, or you're traveling to and from a game and you're playing at 7 or 8 or whatever it is. And so I think any of that is fine. I would not, I think Hickman's playing like 9 in the morning or something like that, 9 or 9:30.
Terrible.
I would have done it. Don't get me wrong. I'll go to Murfreesboro and play, in the middle of the night if they'll let us. But yeah, in terms of, I think AAA specifically, our whole bracket got set up pretty good in terms of we all play in the evening, and that's a pretty normal schedule.
Yeah. This feels more like basketball time than I've been there for some of those 10 a.m. tip-offs with Dixon and Creekwood girls. No, thank you. Coach, before we let you get out of here, I do want to ask you anything we need to know about this Red Bank team. I kind of looked at stats a little bit earlier today. Seems like they got 2 guys, and then they want to play a lot of defense. Anything else we need to know?
Yeah, it'll be similar to what we faced in West Tennessee. Our number one thing, we got to be able to handle pressure, and they try to press and trap you, and they have really good on-ball defense, and so can we just be calm and just handle a guy guarding us, and that's something we've worked on for a couple of weeks. Offensively, our number 2, our kid plays inside. He can shoot the outside. He can get you inside. They run a ton of stuff to him. They set a ton of screens for him. And then their guard, number 5, is their best shooter, best penetrator. And, we've got to be able to find him as we play zone. And so, thankfully we've had 3 days to prep for that and to really concentrate on that. And also what we saw over the past couple of weeks, it's been very similar type of game plans. Fairview, you look at 2 great scorers and a bunch of role players that can shoot the 3. Chester County, you had a great kid inside and 3-4 guys could all shoot the 3. Lexington, you had 1 kid inside and 1 primary shooter. And so we've been able to, thankfully so far, adjust defensively and hopefully make it difficult for them to score, I hope. And then we've got rebound and keep them off the boards.
I'm going to ask you one last question, because you're talking about all these teams that it's really primary score, secondary guy, and role players. Your team doesn't have that. Does that make you a more difficult team? Not that Jameson or Eli or somebody's not Grayson not capable of being a primary scorer, but you guys are so distributed. Does that make you a more difficult team going into a game like this for the opposition?
I will say yes, because of what opposing coaches have told me. That they've told me that we have an inside-outside game, and we've got multiple guys that can score in different ways. And we've probably had, I'd have to sit down and write it down, I think we've had 5 or 6 different guys lead us in scoring this year on different nights.
Well, and it was 3 in Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just been us. Yep. And I'm thankful that we've got a bunch of guys that they don't care whose night it is, as long as it's somebody's night, and we're getting a win. So yeah, I think I would assume it makes us hard to prep for. I know how hard it was for us to prep for Chester when you had so many guys that could score and shoot the 3, and you had the big kid inside that could do so much. And I know how much it made it difficult for us to guard. And so I hope we're difficult for them.
Well, hopefully that is the case. We are going to wrap it up. A tip-off coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll get to our regular pregame show next. But, Coach, I had someone tell me a long time ago, anytime you're playing basketball in March, it's a good day.
It is.
Hopefully it's a good day for you guys later on. We appreciate you taking time with us.
Thank you. Appreciate having me.